What we want to do right now is bring into the conversation our friend William Jacobson, Cornell Law University professor. He joins me. William, thanks for being with us. I know we've spoken before on similar topics nonetheless. But how do you anticipate this from the Trump legal team? They have really put out all the stops, so to speak, to delay many of these trials based on several different arguments in the classified documents case. That's that this was okay under the Presidential Records Act. In the Georgia election subversion case, that was on First Amendment grounds. And even in the Stormy Daniels hush money payment trial that's going to begin on April the 15th, just yesterday, the judge in that case, Juan Merchan, denied the effort to dismiss on immunity grounds as well here. So it seems like the Trump legal team has really kind of scrambled the jets, but coming up short. Is that your view of it?
Well, so far they have not had much success, but they're fighting a multi-front battle. They're fighting 4 different prosecutions plus the civil lawsuit that's now in the appeal stage. So they've had no choice but to fight. When people are coming at you from every direction, you fight in every direction. They're doing, I think, a good job in most of these cases. The problem is judges are very hesitant to throw out criminal charges if on their face they're valid. And that's essentially what happened in Florida today. The judge didn't rule against Trump on the substance. She simply ruled that you're invoking the Presidential Records Act. There are no charges against you under the Presidential Records Act, so there's really nothing for me to dismiss. Totally separate issue is whether his defense invoking the Presidential Records Act will be allowed to go to the jury and what the jury instructions will be on that. That's a whole other fight. So he's trying everything, but it looks like he's going to go to trial in most, if not all, of these cases.
All right, let's just focus in on the most recent upcoming trial there, April 15th in Lower Manhattan. Do you anticipate any more delays in that? I've been telling viewers, I want to say that that is fixed, but you just really don't know. I mean, there could always be some type of Hail Mary, right?
I don't know what it would be.
Okay.
I mean, he's made repeated requests to delay it. He asked them to delay it until the Supreme Court rules on presidential immunity. And the judge denied that, the state court judge. So I think that one's going to go forward. Of course, we don't know what could happen that we can't foresee, but based on what we currently know, it looks like sometime this month that criminal trial in Manhattan is going to start based on the books and records offense.
And everyone is kind of wondering whether or not the other 3 trials will take place before November or, after the election takes place. What say you on that? Are you anticipating some of these trials to occur, in whatever next administration looks like, whether it's a Trump or Biden administration? Who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to see how any of these, other than the one that's in Manhattan, are going to get to trial before the election. And if they did, it would probably be September, October. And that is just so unseemly for our democracy, for our electoral process to have one of the candidates put on trial right before the election. So I don't know what's going to happen, but the Florida case is still scheduled for late May. I don't think anybody's expecting that to happen. The DC case is pretty much on hold until the Supreme Court rules on a couple of issues. So that's highly unlikely to go forward before the election. And the Georgia case is really an issue of who's the prosecutor. Looks like it's going to be Fani Willis, but there were appeals taken seeking to get her kicked off. So it's really hard. We could have 3 trials in September, October, or none. My guess is none.
Wow. I mean, you don't anticipate, though, that, the other 3 won't go to trial. Do you think they'll still go to trial? They'll just be way down the road? Or could you see a judge issuing summary judgment, dismissing it outright, for whatever reason?
Yeah, well, that may depend on whether they get dismissed or in part dismissed on how the Supreme Court rules on this presidential immunity and how far it goes. Because Trump's theory is that anything he did while he was president, he's immune from prosecution for. Right. And the Supreme Court's going to rule on that. He says he's absolutely immune. Others say that there's no absolute immunity and that once you leave office, you can be prosecuted. Supreme Court's going to have to decide that. We will get an answer to that by the end of June, because that's when their term ends. It's being argued, I think it's April 25th.
Yeah.
Certainly late in April. They could issue a relatively quick decision like they did on the the Colorado ballot issue.
Sure.
They issued that in, I think, 3 weeks, something like that. So they may not wait till the end of June, but we're not going to know until at least towards the end of May, maybe into June, what's going to survive in these cases against Trump.
Yeah. You know, on the immunity question, William, rather than the kind of 14th Amendment Section 3 clause there, the insurrection clause, that the Supreme Court really quickly took up and unanimously ruled against it. I think many kind of legal thinkers and scholars like yourself kind of saw that coming. Is there a general consensus or conventional wisdom about the immunity question on the high court, about where the justices are thinking and where, you know, you and your colleagues and your contemporaries think that they might go on that question? I haven't really seen that form yet.
I don't think it has formed yet. I think you'll see once we have the oral argument in the Supreme Court, then everybody's going to become an expert on this question, an instant expert. You're right. It's kind of odd. There has not been as much of a coalescing or even discussion of the immunity question. It tends to be viewed in political terms. So Democrats will say, you know, he's crazy. That means he could kill somebody and he can't be prosecuted while he's president. And other people say, well, you know, it's absolute immunity because you can't have someone be president if different prosecutors can essentially tie them down, like Gulliver, and prevent the president from doing his or her job. So I think it's all political right now. The legal aspects, I think, will clarify once we get to oral argument at the Supreme Court.
Yeah, you know, just on a political note, it's also, I think, really kind of fascinating and interesting because you ask people in your everyday life, I ask viewers too, you know, are they following it as closely as, say, you and I are, it being the 4 legal cases, and they're almost day to day developments. And, you know, maybe viewers aren't. I hope viewers are, because that's why we're talking right now, even though it's a little bit meandering. We're moving from case to case to case here. But when some voters and viewers go to the ballot box in November, I think it still remains to be seen how closely did they follow all of this.
Yeah, I think that's going to be very interesting because when you follow it, you tend to not see the forest for the trees.
Yeah. And
I think what the general public is probably going to split along 2 lines, and we don't know which will be the majority. Trump's being unfairly targeted and harassed. They've got all these cases. I may not understand the ins and the outs of all the cases, but the only reason he's being targeted is because he's running for president. So that might be one view. The other view might be, well, there's smoke, there must be fire. He must have done something illegal. And so I think this is going to reaffirm for people their pre-existing political views of Trump. Okay. So I don't know how much of an impact this will have, although polling, to the extent you can trust it, does seem to indicate that if he is convicted in one of these before the election, that will hurt him, that people don't want a convicted felon to be put into office.
All right. William Jacobson, we'll have to leave it at that. Thanks so much for your time. We'll talk soon.
Great. Thank you.